could have imagined it? This woman in her 50s actually followed the trend and found a gigolo. She repeatedly fixed her makeup just because she was going to have her second spring today. This is a story that makes people reflect. It also boldly reveals a woman's scrutiny of her own body. Without further ado, today I will bring you this good luck. The story of Leo Grande begins with the protagonist of our story, Nancy. The reason why Nancy, who is over 50 years old, appeared in this hotel is because she wanted to do something very bold. Yes, just as we said at the beginning, as a lonely old woman, Nancy wanted to experience the happiness of young people. Despite repeatedly tidying her makeup, Nancy couldn't help feeling nervous when she heard the doorbell. She mustered up her courage but was still very nervous. After she opened the door, a handsome boy with a sunny face walked in. He was the gigolo that Nancy had found today. The boy, who looked very strong, was named Leo. As soon as he entered the door, he gave Nancy a sweet kiss, which broke the embarrassment on Nancy's face. Seeing Leo so handsome, Nancy felt even more uneasy. She really wanted to find a young man to vent, but she didn't expect that the boy who came was so young and handsome. And she was already old and ugly. Leo must be very disappointed because he was too nervous, which made Nancy feel a little helpless. Having been in the entertainment industry for many years, Leo naturally noticed Nancy's uneasiness, so he told Nancy to sit down and have a drink. Nancy was happy to do so. Alcohol can break awkward situations. They drank and searched for topics to discuss. In the end, Leo broke the news first. He said that Nancy was a very tasteful woman, but this sentence made Nancy feel even more embarrassed. She was already a woman in her 50s and had given birth to 2 children. She was no longer young in terms of skin condition or appearance. Her whole body looked a little bloated. She looked at the man in front of her. Nancy suddenly felt a little regretful because she suddenly realized that Leo was the same age as her son. Thinking of this, Nancy suddenly backed out. As a retired female teacher, she had always been bound by ethical doctrines. Now she felt that her actions were too abrupt and she didn't think she could achieve her goal today. So Nancy turned around and told Leo, "If you want to leave now, I can still pay you half of the money." But Leo was very curious. He really didn't understand why this woman was so stubborn. Why would she give up being happy with herself? After all, her figure still looked good. At least her past clients were quite satisfied with her. Under Leo's questioning, Nancy told her story. It turned out that in her decades-long marriage with her husband, Nancy had never. She had reached a real orgasm in her body, but in order to satisfy her husband's self-esteem, he always insisted on pretending to have an orgasm in bed until her husband passed away 2 years ago. Nancy ended her half-life acting career, so 2 years later, he mustered up the courage to satisfy himself. But now he thinks it is a shameful idea, and he doesn't want to continue pretending. He is afraid that if he fails this time, he will hurt Leo's self-esteem. However, Leo does not agree with Nancy's idea. He believes Nancy is not a good person. Nancy should let go of the past and embrace a better life. At this time, Nancy was very fond of Leo. Leo was young, handsome, and well-spoken. He really couldn't understand why such a boy wanted to do sex work, but Leo told him that not everything needs a reason. The reason why he did this was because he liked to be able to contact different people and different things. For a man, such a job is really good. Of course, Nancy couldn't accept this idea because she is a rather feudal teacher. But it is quite ironic that she has been feudal for most of her life, and finally she ordered a gigolo to accompany her. Leo felt that he had to let Nancy relax or he would not be able to do the work today. So she took the initiative to stop Nancy and wanted to go to bed with her to discuss life together. Leo's hands wandered on Nancy's body. She told Nancy sincerely that she liked her lips and collarbone. Although she was no longer young, her body was still elegant and charming. This was the first time Nancy had contacted a man after her husband left. It was also the only man she had contacted except her husband. She felt that Leo's hands were so hot that it seemed to ignite her, but the more she reached this point, the more she became. Nervous, she found an excuse to go to the bathroom to change clothes. While Nancy was in the bathroom, the experienced Leo quickly took off his pants and deliberately unbuttoned his shirt to create an ambiguous atmosphere. In order to perform better, she even drank a small glass of vodka. At the same time, Nancy in the bathroom was also trying to relax herself. She had never experienced this before and didn't know how to face the desires of the body and the soul. Nancy was torn between her reason and her final contradiction. She mustered up her courage and changed into her nightgown. In order not to embarrass Nancy, Leo deliberately ate a cookie to make himself look casual. When Nancy came out, Leo pretended to be happy and kissed her. Nancy was not happy yet. Leo kept praising her for her great figure, but Nancy broke free from her arms and said that she didn't like the taste of the cookies. She came out to make money, of course, for the customers. Leo quickly said that he would go brush his teeth right now to make sure that the taste in his mouth was completely removed. When Leo came back from brushing his teeth, Nancy was already sitting upright on the bed. She told Leo again that if he left now, she would still pay her. Leo suddenly found Nancy's contradiction very interesting. She asked Nancy why it was so difficult for her to leave. Is it because I don't look good enough? Nancy said frankly that she felt that Leo was the type she wanted, young and smart, but she suddenly felt that her decision was a bit hasty. She really didn't understand why her body was so eager to do this. But after her husband left, many people of her age wanted to be her partner, but she refused them all because she deeply understood what she wanted in her heart: a young and interesting body. She still did it despite the expense. Nancy suddenly felt dizzy and burst into tears. As a woman who had lived a serious life, she felt that her behavior was extremely dissolute at this moment. She wished she could leave Leo behind and go away. At least this way she could still retain a bit of dignity. But Leo held her hand gently and climbed onto the bed. To ease Nancy's mood, the two sat on the bed and talked about life. Nancy told Leo that she had a son and a daughter. Her daughter lived a free and easy life, but she felt that she was too flamboyant. Her son was very good, but very boring. At this point, Leo also said that he was now an expert in this field, but he didn't know that his mother still thought she worked in the oil bureau. At this point, the two laughed at the same time. It seems that such a chat really makes they all relaxed. Many believe that a night of love is priceless. Leo no longer hesitated and decided to revisit the topic of male-female relationships. So she asked Nancy how her husband would please her before. Nancy answered frankly that her husband would only kiss her and then start the action directly. After finishing, he put on pajamas and fell asleep without considering Nancy's feelings. Before marrying her husband, she had feelings for a man, but unfortunately she and that man were not meant to be together. Before the birth of the relationship, she was still in love with him. After hearing this, Leo felt that Nancy's previous life was too sad, so she decided to bring Nancy unlimited happiness in a limited time. So she took advantage of Nancy's inattention and dragged her into bed.